This is the first time we've done SingSoc School. It's a whole new idea. So forgive me if I'm a little bit flailing around trying to feel my way with what's appropriate as we go along. The idea behind this is I know every year at SingSoc we have some people who come who think, I want to join a choir, but I've never joined a choir before, and I don't read music, and I don't really know what I'm doing, but I really want to do it. That's kind of who this is aimed at. We're gradually, and only in a very sort of surface way, but we're going to gradually take you through some of those basic music reading and choral singing skills that hopefully will give you the confidence to feel that being part of one of our choirs is something that you're ready for. I want to say before we start, absolutely everyone is welcome in our choir, and some people have years of experience, and some people have never done it before. Some of those people who've never done it all before will pick things up so quickly and just be flying. Some people will take longer, and that is absolutely brilliant. We want you here. So if stuff here goes too slow for you, I'm sorry. If it goes too fast for you, please tell me. I don't think that's going to be a problem today. I really don't. I'm starting with absolute basics. So sorry in advance. I joked with Yang as he walked in. Yang's one of our accompanists. He plays the piano for us and has been doing it for about 47 years. If Yang can't do the stuff I'm teaching you tonight, we've really got a problem. So might have a joke there. It's good to know that there's a traffic jam on the A6102 Road. That's bizarre. Sorry, I just looked over my shoulder and saw something weird. Can I just have a quick show of hands? Who here was at our rehearsal last Thursday night? So some of you, but not all of you. So some of you really aren't. This is the first time you met any of us. Great. Really nice to meet you. Okay, we're going to do a couple of things today. We're going to just have a look at what the four voice parts that normally sing in a choir, this sort of choir, are. How they fit on a piano, how they fit in the human body, how they fit on sheet music. And then we're going to have a look at some different ways in which choir music is often written on sheet music. And just make sure that you've got some of that simple navigational stuff, the things that help you find where on the page we're singing from. We're not looking at reading music yet. It's literally just where on the page should I be getting my words from, and that kind of stuff. And that's all we're aiming for today. I hope we can be done in 20 minutes. It might be less, and if it's more, we'll finish up next week. Each week we're going to do some different sort of things, and we're publishing all that. It's on the website, on the SingSoc website already. We'll stick it out on our WhatsApp group each week, so you know what to expect before you come along. Cool. So the first thing I want to do really actually involves you being able to see what's on the piano. And there are more of you than I thought might be here, which is awesome. But nevertheless, I think we're going to sort of gather around the piano, please. So can you all just wander this way if you can? Hopefully you can all see something. So, on a piano we have, what is it, about eight octaves. So we number our letters up, we name our notes, A, B, C, D, E, F, G in circles. And the lowest note on piano is right down here. That is ridiculously low. None of us can ever do that. No human being can make that noise, although there's some amazingly low voices. Sorry?
Well, maybe you could with vocal fry.
Yeah, I think it's a really good question, and I'm going to back away from that really bold statement I made. I think it's a fair point. I don't think even vocal fry can get down to that hurt, but I'll check it out. I'll find out. So right down here, really low, and equally right up here, super solid. This key on the piano doesn't even really work. Really high stuff. The work we do within a four-part choir like SingSoc sits comfortably in the middle of the piano, and we use four parts of the voice. Four voice parts, four named voice parts most of the time. Starting with the lowest, which is what I normally sing, bass, which is somewhere down here. Maybe a little bit lower now and again. There might be there. I've got a bit of a cold, so that's happening. So you can get right down to here. And so if you look there, we're sort of, what's that? About a fifth of the way up the piano, the lowest human voice. And then I'm going to take that up. By the time I'm getting up there, it's starting to sound a bit higher than I might like to use all the time. But I can take it higher. But that's the kind of proper rate. So I've got something like this. Basically, it's down there. And then the next step up is the tenors, who are singing a chunk of, still at the bottom half of the piano, but you'll see an overlap. So if basses are here, tenors are probably sort of overlapping in about sort of this sort of range. And I can make a noise up there, but it's horrible. Whereas a tenor will sound good up there, in theory. That's the idea. So we've got basses here, tenors. This is all a bit approximate as well. There's flexibility around all of this. Then you go up to the next level and you're looking at altos, who are generally speaking a lower female voice, but there are men who sing up there as well. And your alto range, if I've got this for the tenors, the altos are probably looking around about there-ish. Sorry, I've gone modestly far, sorry. I've got myself in the wrong way. So if you can see, we started down here, we've gone up here for tenors, we've gone up here for altos. These are just random notes I'm playing at the moment to give you a feel. If I tried to sing up there, no notes are right, but I'm into falsetto. It's not a pleasant sound for me, but for some of you it's going to be really comfortable. And then you have sopranos who do the highest notes at the top of the piano, and they, in a choir setting, will be taking notes up to from down here-ish up to here-ish. So we've got basses, tenors. Why am I getting so confused about alto range? Altos and then sopranos going further up with an overlap. Does that make some sense? So that's why when we split ourselves, and your voice is your voice. It's where it settles, and some of us sing lower, some of us sing higher, and that's just who we are. You can train them, and generally one of the things about training your voice is extending the range. Normally up, it's quite hard to extend it down, but you can to some degree. But generally speaking, you might try and extend the range up. But I won't say what you're born with because that's clearly not true. What you've got now is your voice range, but it will normally fit somewhere into one of those four categories, vaguely. Okay, cool. Grab a seat, we're going to look at what that looks like on the music. We write our music on this thing called a stave. Five lines, horizontal, and the dots on those lines, how far up and down those lines they are, denote pitch. And if you look here, I've got the sopranos at the left hand side, oh, that's so fizzy. This is the soprano, fuzzy, I'm sorry it's so fuzzy. And that range I showed you there is sort of sits there from underneath to above, so that's the kind of soprano range. The altos, you'll see, in the next bit here, go further down and actually need to go down onto another line of music, and I'll deal with that in a minute. But you'll see that they are a step downwards from the sopranos. And then the tenors again, another step downwards from the altos, and basses down here. So what we often do, let me find a real example of some sheet music for a second. We've got one line at the top there and one line underneath it. The top line is for those top two parts, the sopranos and altos, and the second line there is for the second two parts, the tenors and basses. And generally speaking, although it's not always the case, sopranos sing the notes that are at the top, and altos are the notes underneath it. Tenors on the top of this bottom line, and basses underneath them. So the same way as we talked about, basses are lowest, tenors, altos, sopranos in our voices, when you see it printed on the music, it's printed the same way. Basses, tenors, altos, sopranos, normally. Does that kind of make some sense? Cool. So, we're just gonna very quickly, Tom, can you come and be a music holding person for me? I'm just thinking this through, because what I haven't done is spent the time with you trying to work out which voice part you are, but we'll do that in the warm-up for the choir, like we did last week as you were here. So I'm just going to ask some of you who feel like they might be generally in the higher part of the voice. In fact, everyone, for the minute, everyone who feels they can reach these notes. Can you have a go at singing this? This is a little bit of something we're going to learn together as a chorus later. So anyone at the moment who's comfortable in that part of the voice, which isn't me, but we're going to sing a little bit from Les Miserables, and it goes like this. I'm going to sing it down. I can't do it there, sorry. There is a castle on a cloud. I'll do it again. There is a castle on a cloud. Can we all have a go at that if you could get up there? 3, 4.
There is a castle on a cloud.
Lovely, and then you can hear lots of us are up there, and that's the soprano line. Some of us are down there, and that means we're not sopranos, okay? Underneath that, the altos will be singing, there is a castle on a cloud. This would all be much better if you could see it as well, which is what Tom's working towards for us. Have a listen. There is a castle on a cloud. Can anyone who feels like it have a go at that too, please? 3, 4.
There is a castle on a cloud.
Good. So you can hear we've got the highest one, there is a castle, and then there is a castle. The alto line's sitting a bit lower. The tenors then would be singing something like this. There is a castle on a cloud. I'll do that again. There is a castle on a cloud. Can we all have a go at that, please? Here we go.
There is a castle on a cloud.
Good. So now you'll notice here, this is an interesting place. Those of you who are comfortable at the higher octave can sing that, but it feels low, right? Some of you are going, and it feels like that. Some of you are now, who couldn't get up to the high, like me, are now singing, there is a castle, and it's quite high in our voice, but generally speaking, the chaps are finding that high in the voice, and the women are finding it low in the voice. Some of you couldn't feel comfortable up there because you wanted to sing, there is a castle. That's because you're sitting in the bass part of the voice. So the basses in this piece of music will be singing, there is a castle on a cloud. Fantastic. Bass. Anyone who feels they can get low, have a go at this with me. There is a castle on a cloud. Now some of you are singing down here, and that's amazing. There is a castle on a cloud. That is the bottom end of the bass range, and sometimes you will sing it, but at the moment we're not there. And if I go back to the sheet music with my camera, you can see I told you, didn't I, at the beginning, that the basses might come notes all the way down to the bottom, right down here. Here, in this piece of music we've just been singing, the basses actually, even though they're on the bottom line of music, they're right at the top of it. That dot at the top, which I'm not pointing at very well because I've got a fat finger, and the pen things would work better. That note I'm pointing at there is high on the 5 lines. So that's why it sounds quite high in the voice, even for the basses. Does that make some sense? So we've still got highest, middle, lower, lowest, even though lowest has all the way down here, it can still go, and sopranos at the top could go way, way higher. So that's it kind of in terms of understanding where our voices sit, and it will make even more sense when we come to do things together as a choir in a few minutes. I just want to show you a different way in which we could display that, and because you will see both of these in the music we sing from, although possibly not in this concert. On this one that I've shown you before, we have 2 lines of music with words on. And we said here, the top one's sopranos and altos, second one's tenors and basses, and then there's 2 lines further below, there for the piano. Sorry, I'm difficult to hold my camera. So these are for the piano as well. So we've got sopranos, altos, tenors, basses, piano. This is called short score, because it's short, and it means you've combined parts onto one line of music. You could write the exact same piece of music out in what's called full score, or sometimes long score. So in this one, we've got exactly the same tune. There is a castle on a cloud. That's the soprano line at the top. Then we put the altos on their own line of music underneath them, and they're singing that. There is a castle on a cloud that we did. And then the tenors have got their own line underneath as well. There is a castle on a cloud. That third step down. And basses. There is a castle on a cloud. So in a full score or open score, each voice part has its own line and its own set of words to work off. And then you might still have the piano part underneath. I haven't written the piano part in because that's just too much like hard work, so I've just written the word piano music, but it would be. So that is the difference between short score and long score. Useful to know because sometimes in the middle of a piece of music it might swap. You'll be confused as to why you've suddenly got more lines on the page. If that happens, I'll make sure I point it out, but it's good to know. Then another bit of information is you'll see, better on here actually, that those things, we've got the soprano, alto, tenor, bass, piano lines, are all joined together down the left-hand side of the page with a bracket. That means that all happens at the same time. If it's joined together with a bracket, it happens at the same time. And we call this lump of music on the page, a system. So if I look at that whole page as a whole, we've got 3 systems on the page. Top system, middle system, bottom system. And the reason it's useful to know that is I might say, we're going to go from the bottom system of page 26 or whatever. It's slightly less confusing potentially than saying the bottom line of page 26, because you might think, well, the bottom line of page 26 is a piano part. So we talk about the systems on a page. Over here on the full score, a system in this case is 6 lines of music joined together in time with that bracket down the side. Cool. And just a couple more features for you to be aware of on that page. You'll see in between there's dots that tell you what note you're singing and it goes up and down. Over time we'll cover that. We'll start looking at how to actually read those dots. In between groups of those dots, you'll see this vertical line that goes down the page. And I've got them here as well. This vertical line there, that is called a bar line. We break music into bars. And a bar is just a little group of notes that fit together in a pattern. In America, they call them measures, well, and other countries as well. You might have heard of music being talked about in measures. So that's another thing. But we generally call them bars. And on many pieces of music, those bars are numbered. So if I go back to this copy here, you can see, you can't because it's so fuzzy, that's so annoying. Top of the page, that really fuzzy bit that won't focus has the number 107 in it. It's bar 107 in the music, which means it's really easy for me to say to everyone, we're going to start singing at bar 107. I might say we're going to go for bar 110 and your job is just to count those extra 3. So knowing that these lines that come down the page are bar lines is really good. Was there anything else I wanted to say? No, I don't think so, other than sometimes, as well as bar numbers in pieces of music, you will get letters in boxes. And those letters in boxes are called rehearsal marks, and they're just another way to help make it easier to navigate around the sheet music. So again, I might say, this is just me scribbling some stuff, but in a real piece of music, I might say, okay, we're going to go on page 26, we're going to go from letter F. It's just a way to look for that information of a letter in a box, and that's going to be where we're going to start from. Okay, that's, as I told you, real whistle-stop tour, and everything we're going to do in the rehearsal now will help make sense of that. I'm sure some of you are sitting there thinking, yeah, I knew that, did that at school, and that's cool. But hopefully that's a bit of an introduction for some of you, and it's helpful for some of you. I'm just trying to, I'm going to put this camera down, it's really annoying me. Are there any questions about what we talked about today? Is it kind of?
Kind of. I mean, with like the voice ranges, generally like how flexible would you say it is, or is it like kind of like, you know, if you're like a tenor, for instance, you might be able to go one up or one down, but like
Absolutely, it's completely flexible. They're false boxes that because the music's written in those 4 parts,
Yeah, it's just
you have to
convenient
choose
to
one and it's convenient. Yeah,
segment.
exactly that. I sing bass in a choir, but actually my voice can go reasonably high, so I can sometimes sing a bit of tenor, and sometimes I will if that's helpful. Equally, there are quite a lot of altos who comfortably sing tenor lines,
Yeah,
who might struggle when the tenor line goes really low, but can do most of it.
yeah,
And there are tenors who will sing some alto for exactly the same reason.
yeah.
So they're very blurred boundaries.
Nice.
Yeah.
I'll say there's a lot of us in this choir who sort of move around a bit. Like I started out on alto and realised that it just sounded a lot better on tenor. So people do just shuffle. So if anyone's singing in a part that you realise is uncomfortable, do just like move.
Absolutely, thanks, Ray. Yeah, we're really very chill about the fact you're finding your place here, and you'll move around to find the right place, and that's really cool. The only way to really tell where you should be is to do it, or to spend some time with someone like me at the piano to have a listen to your voice individually and work out what you're doing. And with the best will in the world, we don't have time to do that with 100 of you. But moving around till you're happy is good. And if you do want some help, come and have a chat with me, and I'll see if I can help you feel more comfortable. That's there. Any other comments, questions? Yeah.
So when I was doing the bass part there, I was at like very low bass, and I find it harder to get to those higher parts of the bass line. So do you want me to pitch that down? Like how do I?
So actually really great question, thank you. And it's something we will cover in one of the later sessions. We talk about how to extend upwards in the voice. If you imagine everyone's capability as a voice as being from the lowest note to the highest note, our speaking voice is generally right down here. It's just like 2 or 3 steps up from the lowest note you can sing. So if I'm speaking in a really monotonous voice, my pitch is about there, it's really low. But most of the time as a singer, I'm up here. And if I spoke like that all the time, it'd be really odd. We spend our speaking lives living in a very small part of our voice. As you learn to use your voice as a singer, you'll learn to stretch it upwards. So the answer is yes, always try and match the pitch you're hearing. So if I'm singing up here with the basses, that's where I want you to be. If it's hard, we'll get you there. Ah, that wasn't like some we're
Perfect
finished
timing.
message just happened. Any other thoughts, questions?
Very theatrical.
Brilliant. Thank you so much for coming. I hope that's been useful. I was just double checking. Next week at SingSoc School, we are going to be looking at... I'm in the wrong place. Bear with me. We are going to be looking at reading the rhythm. So the dots on those lines, how far up and down the lines they go shows you how high or low the voice is. But the shape of the dot and what extra lines they've got attached to them basically tells you whether those sounds are longer or shorter. And that's the rhythm of the piece of music. And we're going to just spend some time next week just learning how to read rhythm, which hopefully is something really instantly helpful when you come to singing music. Brilliant. Thanks. Let's take a 5-minute break whilst everyone else comes in and then sing. We sit for chorus, and many people coming in now were here last week, so will know. We sit sopranos, altos, tenors on the front 2 rows, basses on the front 2. So now is a good moment to move to where you think you might want to be in terms of high, lower, bottom. Thanks so much.